Time Warner Cable is pleased to be an underwriting sponsor for Carolina Week.
Coming up on the September 12th edition of Carolina Week.
I'm Carla Babb in Carrboro. I'll have the latest on North Carolina trooper misconduct.
We all keep a lot of things on our desks, including some things we don't want there.
In sports, one Tar Heel hopes her international playing experience will bring a national championship to Chapel Hill.
Weathercaster Johnny O will have your Carolina Week 4-day forecast.
All that and our furry friends get the brush off. Carolina Week starts right now.
From the James F. Goodman Studio in the School of Journalism and Mass Communication at the University of North Carolina at Chapel Hill, connecting campus and community, this is Carolina Week.
Hello and welcome to the Wednesday edition of Carolina Week. I'm Sarah Huffman.
And I'm Adam Rue. Thank you for joining us. It hasn't been a good month for North Carolina state troopers, and now the charges of misconduct have hit close to home. Carolina Week's Carla Babb is in Carrboro with more.
Adam, I'm here at Carrboro Police Station where a woman filed a report against Trooper Michael Steele saying that he pulled her over and made sexual advances. This is the latest in a string of incidents involving this behavior by North Carolina troopers. And some people say it's been going on for years.
I felt like he was in between like snide and mean and like somewhat flirty. He made comments about my outfit, and I just probably would have rathered if he'd have just left me alone and gotten everything over with.
Trooper Scott Harrison pulled 25-year-old Abby Byram over 3 years ago. He's the Wake County trooper fired after evidence suggested he harassed young female drivers. The court later convicted Byram for a DUI that night, but she says Harrison targeted her after watching her walk to her car on Hillsborough Street.
He probably wouldn't have pulled me if he hadn't seen me walk across the street in, a short skirt and a tank top out celebrating the night I graduated.
Now, an Orange County trooper has resigned after 2 accusations of sexual assault. North Carolina Highway Patrol spokesman Lieutenant Everett Clendenin says these incidents don't represent a pattern.
We have over 1,800 troopers on the Highway Patrol. We don't believe there's a systemic problem. We believe this is just 2 isolated instances.
He says the state's Highway Patrol has handled recent cases properly.
We've done what we can do. They're no longer members of the Highway Patrol. Now it's up to the criminal justice system to take their part, do their part.
And that's reassuring to Byram.
And I think that they are all unfit to handle the responsibilities given to them by our governor. And I would hope that they would never work in North Carolina again, whether they resigned or were fired.
Clendenin told me troopers aren't allowed to re-enter the force if they are fired by the patrol and convicted of a Class B misdemeanor like sexual harassment. This does not necessarily pertain to troopers who resign, like Steele did last week.
Carla, what should a woman do if she's nervous about being pulled over?
Well, he said they should turn on their hazard lights and crack their window rather than roll it all the way down when talking to a trooper. Also, go to a well-lit, high-traffic area. It may be a little embarrassing, but when it comes to harassment issues, it's best to put safety first.
Thank you, Carla. Carolina Week's Carla Babb reporting from Carrboro.
On the 6th anniversary of the 9/11 attacks that claimed nearly 3,000 innocent lives, Carolina alums took time to honor those who died on that fateful day.
Our reporter Jaime Zaya was among friends and family at a special dedication ceremony.
September 11th, 2001, a day that many will never forget. One of the most affluent countries in the world was under attack by an unknown enemy. During that day and the many that followed, Americans felt helpless and afraid. More than 2,500 innocent people died, all in the span of 3 hours. Among those who perished, 6 Tar Heel alums. On the 6th anniversary of the tragedy, the Carolina class of 2005 offered the university a memorial garden in honor of the Tar Heels who passed that day.
The memorial garden we envision is now a beautiful reality. It will forever exist as a place of reflection and a place to remember 6 members of our Carolina family.
The official ceremony took place Tuesday morning in front of Carmichael Residence Hall, where the garden is located. Chancellor James Meeser started the event. The Army, Navy, and Air Force ROTC Color Guard also participated. The families of some of the victims sang the university's alma mater and listened carefully as Jovian Irwin, the president of the class of 2005, did the reading of the names.
It's a very poignant moment, and it makes us all recall, I think, the shock and horror of that event itself. But it also makes us remember the coming together that occurred the very next day and that occurred the rest of that year, and I think it's happened ever since.
Besides this memorial garden, the victims' families feel like their loved ones should be remembered by their contributions to freedom.
They gave their lives so that we might be free, so that terrorism would be continually eliminated.
In Chapel Hill, I'm Jaime Sea, Carolina Week.
The class of 2005 raised about $45,000 to cover the cost of the garden, including about $9,000 from their peers alone. But the class of 2005 isn't the only group at Carolina honoring the 9/11 victims. Students ran in silence to remember those who lost their lives. The stars were still out early on Tuesday morning as more than 100 people met at Hooker Fields to pay tribute to the victims of September 11th. Participants stood silently during a presentation by the ROTC Color Guard as organizers remembered that tragic day 6 years ago. The 5K took runners and walkers on a loop around campus and ended as the sun came up. With each new dawn, it gets a little easier to bear the pain. Chapel Hill firefighter Jamie Palacios shares with us how he wakes up each day to honor his friend who died on 9/11.
I was very good friends with a guy that lost his life. His wife asked me to listen to his last recordings, and what he said on that recording was extremely brave. That's the reason why I'm a firefighter today. The younger generations are prone to forget this. The people who experienced 9/11 will never forget. Most of the people who gave their lives that day were there for a choice. Nobody was forced to be there, and their choice made a big impact in my life. An unfortunate event created a huge impact on so many people.
Increases in building materials and labor costs are forcing UNC to scale back campus renovations. The rise in construction costs come courtesy of effects from Hurricane Katrina and the Iraq War. UNC's building boom was partially funded by a $3 billion state bond package 7 years ago. University leaders asked legislators for more money, but lawmakers said no. Some students would be just fine with no construction.
It's kind of like you want to stop and smell the roses, and other places have such beautiful campuses, and I feel like everybody that comes to see ours has something taken away from it because there are all these black boundaries put up.
Renovations to Hinton James Dorm were supposed to total $26 million, but this spike in costs could push that number to nearly $37 million. Soon, the main campus won't be the only place where you'll run into construction. At Monday night's town council meeting, UNC Vice Chancellor Bruce Runberg asked the council to fast-track plans for the first building on the university's satellite campus, Carolina North. The goal was to break ground in a year, but concerns from council members might delay the process. Several members say they thought the university would submit everything as one master plan before dealing with individual buildings. In the meantime, construction on the main campus continues. There are currently 14 unfinished projects. If you think construction makes campus confusing, think about some poor students who thought their classroom building didn't even exist. The designer accidentally left Chapman Hall off many online campus maps. The building is located behind Phillips Hall and houses part of the physical science complex. It's also not in the directory on new campus maps, although the building does appear on the map itself. Chapman Hall is a relatively new building. It first opened in 2006. Well, that desk you're sitting at might not be as clean as it looks.
Coming up, all kinds of cruddy stuff could be hiding in your workspace.
Any questions?
No.
You know.
We're not magicians, we can't read your mind.
We need your questions, each and every kind.
What are the side effects, doctor, doctor?
How many times have you done this before?
Questions are the answer.
Will this react with my other medicine?
Hey, what are all these even for. We need your questions, each and every kind. Questions are the answer. Questions are the answer.
We'd all agree that doorknobs, bathrooms, and children are all probably covered in germs. But as reporter Claire Williamson found out, germs don't hide in just the obvious places.
A cluttered desk can show the efforts of a hardworking student, but what it won't show are the thousands of strands of bacteria hiding on keyboards, phones, and lamps. A University of Arizona study says that desks are the most germ-laden spots in an office, with almost 400 times more germs than office restrooms. And it's women who are the main culprits of dirty desks. They have 3 to 4 times more bacteria on their desks than men. Public health student Micah McGowan says it's to be expected.
You know, women have more capacity on their body to carry germs as far as hair and nails, and as far as cosmetics go, they're often touching their face and then again touching their keyboards and their mouses.
But makeup isn't the only cause of germs.
Scientists say that food is a big carrier of bacteria, and 75% of women store some type of food at their desk.
But men aren't in the clear. The study also showed that men's wallets have more germs than women's purses. Student Ryan Sullivan never realized how dirty his wallet might be.
What I really never thought about in that context, but if you think about where you put your wallet day in and day out, it probably is a pretty good representation of how nasty it really is.
Hand washing and using disinfectant wipes are the best ways to prevent bacteria's growth, although there's no way to completely wipe out germs, even with a tidy desk. In Chapel Hill, I'm Claire Williamson, Carolina Week.
So after rummaging around in your desk, wash your hands, but be aware, antibacterial soap might not prevent infections any better than regular soap does. Researchers say that soaps used in hospitals have a high concentration of the main active ingredient, triclosan, but the soaps sold to the public might have a much lower concentration and might not kill bacteria like E. coli. Senior pre-med student Brittany Walker studies the effects of soap in a microbiology class.
From what I've learned about antibacterial soap's effect on bacterial resistance to antibiotics, I'll probably just use regular soap from now on.
Follow her lead, especially considering the cost difference between regular and antibacterial soaps.
If your wallet is looking a little bare, Living Green might help you save some bucks. Instead of driving a car every day, use Chapel Hill's public transit system or ride a bike to class. Invest in a water filter to reduce bottled water consumption and spend a few extra dollars to replace old light bulbs with these new LED bulbs. You unplug appliances, especially phone chargers when they aren't in use, and of course turn off the lights when you leave the room. Even small things like recycling can make a big difference.
Newspapers, office paper, bottles, cans, all types of stuff, cardboard especially. It's all here. UNC has done an excellent job of providing those resources, of recycling, and people just need to use them.
Carolina also provides many other eco-friendly resources. Once you step off the elevator of the 3rd floor of Morrison Residence Hall, everything seems to get a little greener. The new sustainability learning community gives students a chance to learn about and discuss environmental issues such as energy usage, waste disposal, and recycling. The students also learn about water conservation and how to get the most out of resources. Sophomore Natalia Postil says living in the community makes her much more aware of what she's using and how she's using it.
You can kind of relate it to anything that's going on in your life, like your work, when you're at a party, like when you're getting a cup of coffee, you can do any of those things, and you can always be a little bit more sustainable. So.
Experts say the quickest way to become more sustainable is to reduce, reuse, and recycle.
1 out of 2 passenger vehicles on the road today is an SUV. Reporter Lib Curley shows us how their popularity has turned into a problem for the environment.
T. Valentine drives a green Tahoe. But the only thing green about it is the color. He says the space is what sold him.
I like the size, first of all. I like being up high in traffic. And as far as the efficiency goes, I guess I really just didn't think that much about it.
Valentine isn't alone. Minivans, pickup trucks, and SUVs were designed for commercial use. Now they're taking over the road and taking a toll on the environment. All cars have an impact, but SUVs are the biggest culprits when it comes to polluting the air we breathe. You can see the effects of these emissions up close in the smog chamber atop UNC's School of Public Health. Dr. Kenneth Sexton and a team of researchers use this greenhouse-like structure to analyze urban toxins in a controlled environment and report the findings to the EPA. Cities use the data to set emissions standards.
Although we can't all buy hybrid cars, we can do our part by moving on our own 2 feet instead of behind the wheel.
Valentine limits his driving because a bigger car means a bigger bill.
In hindsight, yeah, it's a little bit more expensive than I would like in terms of filling it up. I don't know, I guess I just never really thought too much about the efficiency of the gas.
So going green might help you save some green. In Chapel Hill, I'm Lib Curley, Carolina Week.
But you know what? It's been so nice today that I didn't even feel like getting in my car to go.
And it's been nice, but we still haven't had that rain, Johnny O.
Yeah, we really do need the rain really badly, but you're right. It was definitely nice today. Now, these folks definitely took advantage of the beautiful skies and cooler temperatures, or at least a lot of us did. However, will we see the rain we desperately need? Our Carolina Week forecast after the break.
I'm tall enough to reach the light switches. I'm big enough to brush my teeth by myself. I'm the tallest kid in my class. I haven't worn diapers in years. I'm much less likely to vomit at random now. My cups don't have lids anymore. Mine either. I'm getting pretty big. But to help me survive a car crash, I still need you to give me a boost.
Until they're 4'9", use a booster seat in the car and don't let them down.
They're kind of cool.
Not really. Pretty annoying.
How'd you get them?
Shooting windows out with my BB gun, and next day these showed up.
I think it's bad karma. You gotta do something good. Help out in the community. Donate to charity.
Just been real busy, you know? Yeah.
Stay on the universe's good side. Volunteer, vote, get involved.
Hope you have a good day wherever you are. I'm Jonathan. Now, we're taking a look at the weather headlines, and just to let you know, rain is here. It's on its way, and it's arriving for Thursday and Friday. However, the bad news is it won't end our drought. We're going to continue to see the drought conditions hang around for the next several weeks, but hopefully it will put a little bit of a dent in there. And then we're going to have a fall-like weekend coming into the picture as we head into your weekend. So let's take a look at NextRad Storm View Doppler radar. I'm sorry, we kind of skipped that, but we're looking at the Doppler network. We have some showers toward the southern edges, the southeastern edge of North Carolina, and notice all these showers are starting to pass through, and that's because of a front that's moving through. Here's the satellite. Notice all the cloud cover that is hovering around the southeast. Now, as we take a look at the national U.S. Doppler radar, notice there's some showers off our coast. That's because of a cold front that's strayed way back into Alabama, all the way from Boston back into Alabama, and that is going to push toward the east and give us a better chance of rain. Now, we are tracking the tropics right now. Over in Texas, there's Tropical Storm Umberto that is moving toward the north and west. This was Tropical Depression 9, but it developed so quickly, it's giving them, Texas, a chance of some rain. That's not going to affect us. But what may affect us is Tropical Depression 8, which is located in the Atlantic Ocean that's moving toward the north and west. And notice, we're right there in North Carolina. This may give us a chance of some rain. We'll keep our eyes tuned in and let you know what's going to happen as we go through the next week or so. Take a look at Future View. That's Chapel Hill right there. This particular model tells us how much rain or when we might be able to expect rain. This started tomorrow morning, on Thursday morning, and we're going through the after and evening hours. A little bit pessimistic, but fortunately, the other models are going to tell us that we're going to expect a better chance of rain. On Friday, notice we are seeing shades of green here headed toward our neck of the woods, so that is a good thing for us. We really do need that rain. Mountain forecast, Saturday, not the greatest day to go to the mountains. Temperatures will drop into the upper 70s as we go through Sunday. If you're headed to the beach, again, not the greatest place to go this weekend because we are expecting a good chance of some rain. Here's your forecast for tonight. Expect temperatures to be in the lower 60s. Again, a chance of rain. 63 here in Chapel Hill, 62 in Duke, 63 over at State. Mid-80s for tomorrow with a chance of some rain throughout the entire triangle. And then for the next 4 days, 2 things to keep in mind. A chance of rain on Thursday and Friday. And then a great cool down comes in on Sunday. Temperatures will be in the mid to upper 70s. Overnight low, 55 on Sunday morning. That's going to be chilly as we hit toward this coming weekend.
Well, I am really looking forward to that fall weekend, and especially the rain.
Yeah.
Johnny, thank you. Environmentalism is important even when we're not in a drought. Crowds gathered Tuesday afternoon to listen to Dr. Otis L. Graham talk about environmentalism in the South. Graham focused primarily on how President Theodore Roosevelt enacted programs to revive the South's agricultural industry. He also spoke about the importance of electing a president with a passion for environmental issues.
And we're joined now by sportscaster Sarah Moore.
And Sarah, everybody's already looking ahead to the weekend to hopefully see the football team bounce back from last weekend's loss at East Carolina.
Yep, let's just hope that Butch Davis has them whipped into shape. Coming up in sports, the football team's first ACC matchup against Virginia. We'll have a look at Carolina's shutout last year at the hands of the Cavaliers and how the Heels will seek revenge.
My name is Emily, and in 7 years, I'll be an alcoholic. I'll start drinking in 8th grade, but my parents won't really notice because I'll do okay in school and everything will seem okay, but everything won't be okay.
Kids who drink before age 15 are 5 times more likely to have alcohol problems when they're adults. So start talking before they start drinking.
I was in a drunk driving accident down in Melbourne, Florida. Everything I do is a challenge at different levels. Anytime I can get out of my chair and do something, I have that sense of freedom. I think everybody on this earth, whether they know it or not, is ultimately trying to achieve that freedom.
Able Flight, flight training scholarships for people with disabilities.
Welcome to Carolina Week Sports. I'm Sarah Moore. On Saturday at noon, the football team will host UVA, hoping to avenge last year's 23-0 loss. UVA beat Duke last week 24-13. Last year, the Cavaliers made some deep drives into Tar Heel territory, but were only to gain a 9-0 lead at the half. The Tar Heels had 3 major turnovers. Running back Ronnie McGill fumbled at the 24-yard line. Chris Cook intercepted a pass by Joe Daly, and another one of Daly's passes sailed into the defensive backfield for another turnover. The Heels hope their revamped offense will be able to limit mistakes and put some points on the board this year. Tonight, the women's soccer team will head to Greensboro for the first time in 18 years to take on the Spartans of UNCG. After beginning the season ranked #1, the Heels won this game against Yale to claim the Nike Classic Championship. The Heels go into tonight's game with only 1 loss, and so do the Spartans. Carolina will rely on tough defensive play to prevent any Spartan success. The game starts at 7 p.m. The volleyball team will begin ACC play on Friday as they travel to NC State. The Tar Heels have lost 4 of their past 6 games, including this one to Western Kentucky. But the Wolfpack's record isn't too impressive either. They head into Friday's match with a 3-7 record, having lost the past 6 games in a row. Carolina hopes to dominate at the net to pull out the win. The game starts at 7 p.m. in Reynolds Coliseum. What do you do after going on a trip or having a great learning experience? Reporter Katie Miller says you put pictures in an album and share stories with friends.
At least that's what Carolina field hockey player Rachel Dawson does. She owns an album full of pictures of herself in a United States field hockey uniform. She took last year's season off from competing with the Tar Heels to travel and play with the U.S. national team.
Dawson returns right here to Francis E. Henry Stadium with a year's worth of international playing experience and leadership lessons to share with her UNC teammates.
I think the best thing I learned is I've seen great leadership.
Coach Karen Shelton says Rachel's presence on the field has been invaluable since she put on a Carolina blue uniform this fall.
Well, you know, anybody watching the game notices Rachel. She gets a lot of touches on the ball and she controls things. She's a real field general. She makes people around her better. I've said that before, and it's so true. So she communicates, she distributes, she can play defense, she plays in the midfield, she's on our corner strike. So you know, she does an awful lot, and we're delighted to have her back.
The skills Dawson learned while playing with the national team could direct the number 3 ranked Heels through a successful season.
You know, you always want to make progress, that no game is ever perfect, and you want to learn from each game and take it one step at a time until, you know, you reach where you want to be.
Rachel wants to be in the national championship game at the end of the season. She wants the picture-perfect ending to her senior year. A blank page waits in her photo album for that perfect picture. The picture of the Tar Heels holding the national championship trophy. In Chapel Hill, I'm Katie Miller. Carolina Week Sports.
The field hockey team will play 2 games in Chapel Hill this weekend. On Friday night, the Lady Heels will host the number 13 ranked Old Dominion Monarchs. Then on Sunday, the team will welcome the number 7 ranked Penn State Nittany Lions. The field hockey team goes into this weekend with a perfect record of 6 wins and no losses. So far, the Lady Heels have outscored their opponents 28-7. I know that Rachel Dawson has definitely shown leadership on the field so far, so let's just hope that carries over into this weekend.
Absolutely, and I'm sure they're very excited about the fact that she's had so much experience with all those professional players.
Definitely.
Thank you, Sarah. When you wash your dog, you normally use soap and water.
But coming up, find out why the drought is making that rough for one Raleigh event.
When your children ask where you got married, will you have to tell them, over there by the unleaded? When we lose a historic place, we lose a part of who we are. Help protect historic places in your community. Visit nationaltrust.org.
If you have a story idea, contact Carolina Week at 843-8292. You can also visit us online at carolinaweek.org. If you have questions about this program, write Carolina Week at Campus Box 3365, UNCCH, Chapel Hill, North Carolina, 27599.
Jordan Lake isn't the only thing that's bone dry these days. Amanda Pittman is in Raleigh with the story.
The SPCA Whole Foods Dog Wash is usually an event full of suds, water hoses, and wet dogs. But this year, the event went water-free to help Wake County conserve its decreasing water resources.
To forego washing the dogs, but instead to have a brushing. We actually could have legally had the water.
Can you sit? Good. Instead of soaping up the dogs, the event became a brush-a-thon. Pet owners paid a $5 donation so their dogs could enjoy a nice rub-down. Casey Mullaney says the wash wasn't just about raising money for her and her puppy, though.
I think it was a good idea. Mo's having a lot of fun. He's meeting a lot of dogs.
Dogs could swim or drink out of kiddie pools full of water, and volunteers were on hand to help relieve the panting and keep tails wagging despite the heat.
It's a hot summer day, but dogs like Mo have come out to the SPCA Bone Dry Dog Wash in order to get brushed and get a few free treats.
Hope Hancock also says going bone dry is important to get the message out about the importance of all the animals in our community.
Livestock are suffering. I mean, they've got to, obviously the corn crop, things like that. So it has a direct effect on livestock, and we're very sensitive to that. Ours is to serve every animal. That's our goal.
Anyone interested in helping the SPCA of Wake County can give a donation not to have a dog washed, or you can shop at Whole Foods of Raleigh on Tuesday, October 9th, when Whole Foods will donate 5% of their net sales to the SPCA. In Raleigh, I'm Amanda Pittman, Carolina Week.
Those dogs are really cute, but I don't know how clean they can get without any soap and water.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know. It just seems like a brushing doesn't really get them as clean as they are, or at least as clean as they could be. But those dogs are so cute. I really don't care how dirty they are. I'd take a bunch of them home with me.
Well, that does it for this edition of Carolina Week.
Thank you so much for watching. Have a good night.